Hello, I'm Jerrid Anderson, here with my partner Matt Laird, and this month we're going to talk about some recent trends we've seen on apartment sales in Seattle, as well as what we think the impacts of some rent controls may be.
Yeah, we've heard from a lot of owners recently. Rent controls come in. What do you think? What do you think is going to happen?
Well, I mean, we've got, 19 days until the governor has to make a decision, but I mean, overwhelmingly passed at a House and Senate level.
Yep.
Those people are voted on by people from the state, so it feels like the governor's probably going to follow suit.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does pass, I think on the surface it looks fine,
Yep.
but I've talked a lot about preemption,
Yep.
and that would allow cities and counties to impose their own rent controls.
Yep.
And we're in this wonderful city named Seattle,
Yep.
and it's one wonderful county of King, and they like to test out all sorts of things. So I am fearful of what that could mean for the future.
You think it's going to be more limiting than what is proposed at the state level?
I think so. I mean, already our rent notices are twice as long as what's proposed at the state level,
Yeah.
right? We require 180 days, whereas the state's only requiring 90.
Yeah.
So there's things that we're already, as a city, ahead of that are really unfriendly to housing providers.
Yeah. What would you say to owners that are on the fence or have been on the fence? Sell now before it all goes into play, or wait and see where it goes?
It's a hard one. I spoke with a local group, but they have national presence. They own across a lot of markets,
Yeah.
in markets that have been affected by rent control. And I said, what happens?
Yeah.
They said price right off the top comes down 5 to 8%,
Yeah, it's big.
and probably continues to go down
Mm-hmm.
for a little while. But then what happens is people don't develop, and you start to see really good rent growth.
Yep.
So from my perspective, it's always the 2 months versus 2 years conversation. If you're considering it now because of lifestyle factors, I think sooner's better.
Yep.
Instead of letting the market have a big reaction, just
Yep.
get out ahead of it.
Yep.
However, if you're thinking, own this for another 5 years, why not? Real estate generally goes up,
Yep.
but it's going to be a bumpy couple years.
Yeah. Do you have any other opinions on rent control?
I think one interesting thing to watch, I'm not advocating for this, but how is the state going to impose this across all the counties and
Yeah.
jurisdictions?
Yeah.
Because we've seen some of the rules that were passed in Seattle that are unenforceable.
Yeah.
Right? They don't have the right amount of staff,
Mm-hmm.
they don't have enough tax dollars
Yeah.
to go after this. So it'll be interesting to see how this actually affects and is, I guess, implemented statewide.
Yeah.
Because it seems like a really hard thing to police.
And to roll out,
and
probably takes a
oversee.
while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's my only thing. Putting rent control aside, we'll see. We got a couple more deals this week, but we could have our biggest week of mutuals.
Yeah.
That's deals that are either on the market or off the market,
Coming together.
going under contract.
Yeah.
So I think it's 6 or 7 in the last 5 days. What's happening?
Tour volume's really picked up. I think there's still a lot of buyers in the market that are believing in the long-term Seattle market. Seems like sellers' expectations have come down a little bit to meet the market, and I think that's just pairing well together.
Yeah.
People are starting to see some deals and being ready to move.
So of the different properties you have listed, some have gone mutual, some haven't. What's the difference?
Difference is ones that have good in-place cash flow and have some upside, whether it's management upside or physical renovations. They've really kind of flown off the shelf. Ones that are more stabilized and high priced and there's not a lot of room to juice it, they're being a little bit more sticky,
Gotcha. So they're harder to sell.
harder to sell. Yeah,
How does location affect the ones that are selling versus the ones that aren't?
it's huge. Yeah, location is everything. Feels like there's a lot of deals on the market and buyers can be a little pickier with their location. They want the best of the best.
So we've got an owner that held for 10 to 15 years, so not really long term, but long enough, and they've hired us, or they're considering hiring you to sell it. What's your advice when push comes to shove? We've got 3 offers on the table, they're maybe not where they want to be on price.
Yeah, I think it takes some time to really consider what your options are. The market's speaking to us, telling us what it's worth, and this is a good time to sell, and buyers are still hungry and they're gonna follow through with the transaction, but if you're just not ready to sell, then you're gonna wait a couple years.
How long roughly do you think it's going to be before values are higher than they are today? And when I say that, I mean like reliably higher, not
Yeah.
like that random we get a little pop of interest rate.
Probably 18 to 24 months, it seems like.
Gotcha.
Feels about right.
Okay, so if I'm sitting here today, got some offers on the table, that's the truth.
Yep.
If I don't like that, then I've got to wait a few years.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Yep. And during that time, you got to hire a new manager, really push rents, like prepare the property for when values come up.
Yeah.
And a lot of folks aren't willing to do that.
And that's what I see every day. Just got off a phone call with a client. We said you should hold the property
Yep.
because your manager's doing you a disservice,
Yep.
and I think you need to get a new one,
Yep.
really stay focused on this for
Yep.
12 to 18 months, and then go back to market. And the answer from them was actually, we hired you for a reason.
That's
We
all.
don't want to do that.
Yep.
So our rule is 3 offers, that is a market.
Yep.
Either accept it or you don't,
Yep.
and get it sold, or you bought it.
Yep. Exactly.
Cool. Thanks for joining us this month, and look forward to talking to you soon.